Tonight, the Territory on track for a poor crop catching season, but what's causing it? The victims of a triple fatal crash in Alice Springs identified. Territorians urged to have their action plans in place as cyclone season creeps closer. Darwin records its hottest ever minimum temperature overnight, and 3 principals with more than 100 years call time on their careers.
This is 9 News Darwin.
Good evening. 2 Queensland men are among dozens charged for what police describe as irresponsible and ridiculous behaviour on our roads over Christmas. Tonight, police are renewing their safety calls as we approach a new year.
It's 11 p.m. on Christmas Eve and the festivities are all but over for this Townsville man.
Step back. Hop in.
Under arrest, accused of drink driving with a blood alcohol reading of 0.305. That's more than 6 times the legal limit.
That's just inexcusable, it's irresponsible, quite frankly it's ridiculous behaviour.
And this just the day before. A 27-year-old man clocked driving at dangerously high speeds near Gympie.
Doing 170 k's in the 110 zone.
And that's not all.
Is this the 3 beers you had?
Yeah.
Mate, you've gone way over 0.122.
We look forward to seeing some people explain their behaviour to a magistrate.
In the 4 days over Christmas, almost 10,000 drivers were caught speeding. That's more than 5,000 less than the same time last year. The number of people caught drink driving is also down, but the number of drug drivers has slightly increased.
Overall, the statistics this year have been quite positive. We've seen better results than we've seen last year.
But they're far from perfect. 23-year-old Dean Walsh killed on Christmas Eve when his brand new car crashed down an embankment west of Bundaberg. And today, a lucky escape for these holidaymakers. This pile of debris was their caravan. It's believed the 64-year-old driver lost control of her four-wheel drive, causing the van to flip before hitting a tree.
If I could predict the days and the places where the accidents would happen, it'd make my life a lot easier because we could be there.
Operation Romeo Sleigh is now in its second phase, gearing up for New Year's Eve right across Queensland, enforcing the Fatal 5, not just on roads, but beaches too.
They need to be aware that they've still got to wear their seatbelts, and there are speed limits that do apply.
Emily Prain, 9 News.
5 months on from the tragic drownings of 3 people off the New South Wales coast, the battered remnants of their catamaran has been found 600 kilometres north. The vessel only spotted today floating near Stradbroke Island. Grandparents Helen and Rod Cooper and a family friend died after it capsized in tumultuous seas in July. A driver's wild ride on the Sunshine Coast has been caught on camera just moments before they're believed to have caused a severe hit-and-run accident that's left a teenage girl in hospital with serious injuries. We're live to Adam Hegarty at police headquarters now. Adam, police are intensifying their hunt for this driver tonight.
Sam, they are, and that's thanks largely to this dash cam video that's emerged. We'll take you straight to it now. It shows the car in question, a red Subaru, driving extremely erratically along a Steve Irwin Way at a Limburg, going in and out of traffic at speed. It goes onto the wrong side of the road and continues towards Beerburrum Road. You'll see wreckage appearing on the right. That is where that accident occurred on Christmas Day morning. We know, of course, that car's hit the back of the car being driven by 18-year-old Ebony Rich. It's forced her car to roll onto the side of the road. Passers-by had to rush in to pull her to safety. Luckily, she didn't suffer any life-threatening injuries, but she still suffered quite significant injuries to her head. I've spoken to her father this afternoon. He tells us she's still in the Sunshine Coast University Hospital and she's still unable to walk, so a lot of recovery ahead for her. In the meantime, police are trying to track this driver down. As you say, they're calling for anyone who may recognise that car to come forward.
Just shocking. Thank you, Adam. Coming back from Hawaii, the Prime Minister has been dogged by criticism from our volunteer firefighters who are forgoing their paychecks to protect their suburbs and towns. But tonight, 9 News can reveal 2 former PMs have issued the payments in the past, and there's already a law in place that can make it happen.
For weeks, the Prime Minister has dragged his feet on compensating volunteer fireys who are saving lives and homes.
We haven't been to work for 3 weeks.
It is an issue that the Prime Minister is acutely conscious of.
But 9 News can reveal there's already a Commonwealth law that allows special payments through Centrelink. It just needs Scott Morrison, to put his hand in his pocket.
Ultimately, it is an issue for state and territory governments, but as I've said, the Prime Minister is very forward-leaning.
With another scorching week, our volunteers will take yet more time off work. In some cases, they've been fighting since September.
They've gone to banks to get loans so they can just, I guess, feed themselves. Very sad.
The Social Security Act allows the government to declare a major disaster and launch a government response in the form of income support. The law was used by Paul Keating in 1994 after bushfires in Sydney saw more than 200 homes lost and 4 people killed.
It's an initiative to compensate volunteer firefighters who suffered a loss of income.
John Howard also paid volunteers who had lost income while battling the Black Christmas fires in 2001.
The payments of $160 for each day of lost income. Although numerous organisations were involved in the emergency, the Commonwealth payment is only being offered to volunteer firefighters, as was a similar payment made for the 1993-1994 bushfires.
Today's fires have raised more homes and fireys have fought much longer.
If you are a small business, a contractor, a private sector worker, and you have not been able to earn an income for a period of months, common sense tells you that that is not sustainable.
The Prime Minister is looking at this issue further on how we can provide targeted support in these extreme circumstances.
9 News understands Scott Morrison will announce a financial package for volunteer firefighters in the coming days, but the truth is not all of them want to be paid. Most of them just do it to protect their communities. But there's no doubt these are extraordinary.
Expecting them to take away all those weeks and months to be on the fire grounds side by side with state government employees who are being paid, I think in the longer term we need to have this conversation.
Chris O'Keefe, 9 News.
The US president has waded into hostilities in the Middle East, warning Russia, Syria and Iran to stop the carnage. He claims Turkey is working to stop the onslaught, which has displaced thousands, but that could bring troubles of its own.
Near the Turkish border with Syria, American troops are gone, but the fighting remains. Russian-backed Syrian forces roll through the Idlib province as hundreds of thousands flee. In makeshift shelters, those families now ponder what's next. We were sitting at night, this man says, and suddenly we were hit by missiles during the night. 10,000 kilometres away from his resort in Florida, Donald Trump tweeting, Russia, Syria and Iran are killing or on their way to killing thousands of innocent civilians. Don't do it. Turkey is working hard to stop this carnage. The US had cleared the way for Turkish occupation of northern Syria. The worry now that NATO-backed Turkish forces and Russian-backed Syrian troops come into conflict. The worry for these families, simply surviving the winter. In the United States, Charles Croucher, 9 News.
It's a fiddly job and the clients tend to be a little snappy, but maintaining croc traps is a necessary safety measure in the top end. A poor wet season, however, has seen rangers record lower than average numbers for the year.
A quiet morning in Darwin Harbour, the calm broken only by the hum of a boat motor and the snap of a croc trap. Today's journey is nothing out of the ordinary for Northern Territory rangers. In fact, checking and rebaiting croc traps is a weekly expedition. And one that's potentially life-saving for Territorians.
If we didn't have this program going, the chances of a fatality would be quite high.
Tom Nichols has been involved in the program since it began 22 years ago, and there's now 25 croc traps set up around Darwin.
All we're doing is reducing the numbers of crocodiles which are entering Darwin Harbour or in Darwin Harbour and trying to stop interaction as much as possible between humans and crocodiles.
But this year, rangers have noticed a decline in crocodile numbers. For 2019, they've caught just 211. On average, around 300 crocodiles are caught in traps in the Darwin Harbour each year, and the rangers say the recent decline is down to a poor wet season. But when they are captured, they're brought into the workshop for research.
Head length 48. We give them a scoop number. They're given to our scientists, which does DNA testing on them. They also do DNA testing on eggs which are collected.
The salties are then transported onto their next destination, Noonamah.
All the crocodiles we catch, they go to the crocodile farm which has the contract at the time, and they pay the government a nominal fee depending on size and sex, and they can do what they wish to do with them.
From there, they'll be used for fashion, breeding and further research. Ellie Conway, 9 News.
A 27-year-old man has been revealed as the driver of a Mitsubishi Outlander which crashed into another car and then a tree in Alice Springs on Christmas Day. The driver and 2 passengers, a woman aged 32 and a man aged 35, were killed in the crash. 2 other passengers, a man and a woman, were injured. Police say the 27-year-old had evaded an attempt by officers to pull the car over for driving unregistered just minutes before the crash. Territorians are being urged to prepare for cyclone season before the monsoon arrives in the top end. Police say it's crucial residents have a cyclone kit and that backyards are cleaned up well ahead of time.
Make sure that all debris that's in your yard that could be a flying object is moved, put away, thrown away, or hidden so that it doesn't become a concern for you or your neighbours. Have a cyclone kit prepared.
For information and tips on how to prepare for cyclone season, visit the Secure NT website. Darwin has sweltered through its hottest ever minimum temperature. This morning at the airport, the thermometer only dropped as low as 30.2 at 4 a.m. By midday, the weather had warmed up to a top of 33.4. That's slightly cooler than the maximum for most of December. The city has experienced 19 days above 35 degrees. The Territory's lost more than 110 years of combined teaching experience after the retirement of 3 popular Darwin principals. The trio saying it's time for a new generation of leaders to step up.
In the case of 3 Territory principals, school's now out forever. The trio deciding 2019 will be their last year of teaching and as principal of their respective schools. Jen Code fell in love with the Territory in 1978 as a uni student, spending most of her career in Katherine before taking over as principal at Wanguri.
I spent a long time at Katherine School there. Doing distance education, absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing.
It's a similar story for Liz Veal, who also started teaching in Katherine. In 1980, she moved to Darwin, where she's since taught at 10 different schools.
I don't think any other jurisdiction would offer the same career opportunities that I've had. I love the teenagers because of their innovation, their humour, their drive and their talent.
Gail Smith has been teaching since 1989 and for the past 8 years has been principal at Rosebery Primary.
It's a vibrant school, very multicultural school, rather large school. We're dropping in number a little bit now, but it's a fantastic school, good school community.
All 3 believe it's time for new leaders to step up, and while they're eager to enjoy retirement and spend more time with their families,
it's always here and I can always come back.
Rosanna Kingson, 9 News.
Quick look at fuel in Darwin, $1.41.3. New Zealand's workplace health and safety regulator reportedly visited White Island tours just months before the volcano erupted, killing 17 people. It's not known why a safety expert was sent to the company at that time. WorkSafe has now begun an investigation into the December 9 White Island eruption. A lucky escape for 2 boaties rescued from their sinking tinny in Moreton Bay this morning. The boat, full of camping gear when it began to take on water, Marine Rescue towing the vessel back to shore. Families and young children have watched on in horror as 3 people overdosed on the Gold Coast. 9 News understands 2 females and a male in his 50s were swimming near young children when they unleashed into a fit of rage. When paramedics arrived, all 3 members of the group had to be revived, later taken to hospital in a serious but stable condition. It's believed they overdosed on ketamine, which is used to tranquilise horses. As wet weather moves across the tropics, there could be more rain in sight for the rest of the Queensland coast too. Nicole, what's on the forecast?
Well, Sam, North Queensland will continue to see showers over the weekend after heavy falls from the Mackay-Whitsunday coast north that began last night. Showers will also start to stretch over the top end, which has been hot and mostly dry for the past week. From Sunday, though, we could also start to see a few more showers stretching further south down the Queensland coast too, as another trough stretches over northern Australia. Sam, I'll be back with more soon.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Nicole. From winter playground to disaster zone, see the moment a skier triggers an avalanche. The warning from experts before hitting the shops. A wild storm whips through Lebanon's coastline, and the push to allow pets in retirement homes. Tonight, how your furry friend could be the secret to staying young.
How does the ocean's most cunning predator outsmart Jaws? He's going to use trickery. Blue Planet 2, tonight on Night Gym.
Gloss black grille, 19-inch black alloy wheels, panoramic sunroof, and more. New Sorrento Black Edition from $48,990 drive away.
Have you got a Crocosaurus Cove Locals Pass? Great rates available year-round. With 9 reptile shows daily and the thrilling Cage of Death crocodile dive, it's the perfect way to keep the kids entertained these school holidays. Crocosaurus Cove, Mitchell Street, Darwin.
It's here! Mattress Studios' end-of-year sell-off is on now. It's the time of the year when we drastically reduce prices and clear our stock. Guaranteed low prices on top-brand Australian and imported mattresses. Don't miss it!
It's now getting hotter. Are you feeling it? The build-up is here. Call FridgeLec to install a Daikin, the perfect cooling solution all year round. Is your existing air conditioner noisy, using too much power? Cooling can use up to 40% of your energy. Installing an energy-efficient Daikin can help you save. Be cool and comfortable with the experts at FridgeLec. Our specialists will come to you to discuss your needs, and together we'll find the perfect Daikin for you. In most cases, you can have a new Daikin installed within 48 hours. Get ready for the build-up. Call FridgeLec now.
Half year and half yearly clearance, super deals with a super 60 months interest free. Do not miss out. Super deal, Philips One Blade Pro, cordless and water resistant with adjustable comb trimmer, only $69. Half year and half yearly clearance, super deals on now.
Anaconda's massive 20 to 50% off store-wide sale is on now. Huge savings on camping gear, bikes, kayaks, fishing gear, clothing, footwear and more. Some exclusions apply. 20 to 50% off sale on now at Anaconda.
The family business saved by social media.
We had no customers and no technology.
This lavender farm was on the brink of collapse until Instagram helped save the day.
We've had to revolutionise everything.
Now it's a global tourist hotspot.
It became something of a tidal wave.
A current affair next.
A man has been pulled alive from an Austrian avalanche after being buried for 5 hours. His rescuers calling it a Christmas miracle. The European Alps have been plagued by a series of avalanches, sending action seekers fleeing for their lives.
The not-so-playful winter playgrounds of Europe, spectacular and a magnet for skiers and climbers. But with the thrills come dangers. All too evident today in 3 mountain countries: Switzerland, a frightening avalanche, and the search for a mystery skier. In Austria, an astounding story of survival. And in Italy, a horrible dilemma for the mountaineer whose 2 climbing buddies didn't make it. Mountain rescue teams flying in from neighbouring regions were quick to respond to the Swiss avalanche, fearing several skiers had been killed. 6 people were pulled free as teams probed for possible victims. We believe there are more people buried, but we can't say how many, this police chief says. Officers pinpointed the skier they believed might have accidentally triggered the avalanche. But after a desperate search, then a head count of skiers at the Andermatt resort, relief to find no one was missing. In Austria, a man skiing outside a patrolled area was buried alive, but managed to scrape away some breathing space around his head. Avalanche dogs helped to locate him and he was dug out. He was buried for 5 hours, this ski patrol officer says. He was amazingly lucky. In central Italy, the Gran Sasso is a popular climbing peak in summer. In winter, much more dangerous with deadly rock falls. A climber rescued, his 2 companions not so lucky. Jane Azapati, 9 News.
At least 16 people have been confirmed dead in a typhoon that tore through the central Philippines over Christmas. The clean-up won't be easy, with wind gusts up to 150 kilometres an hour destroying homes. More than 58,000 people had to be evacuated, with thousands more stranded at airports. A wild storm has whipped Lebanon's coast, causing a waterspout to whirl onto land. The strong winds caused debris to come crashing down onto parked cars, also leaving damage and flooding in parts of Beirut. There's been no break in protests for Paris. Public transport workers striking for a fourth week, letting off flares and blocking streets. They want the French government to drop a pension reform plan they claim will impact their future. $19 billion is set to be spent in the post-Christmas shopping frenzy, but experts warn many buyers are setting themselves up for a debt hangover. Chris Collar has the details.
Bargain-hungry shoppers could tip this Boxing Day sales period into record-breaking territory as retailers slash prices following a lean sales year.
Rule of thumb, most stores are 30 to 50% off, but you can get deeper discounts on things that have already been on sale.
Hundreds of thousands are chasing bargains on foot, with Australia's biggest shopping centre, Chadstone in Melbourne, already noting a 6% rise in foot traffic this Boxing Day compared with last year.
It's way cheaper. There's a real attempt by the retailer to get rid of stuff.
I feel like I was more festive this year, so I thought I'd come out and get some more presents for everyone.
Australians are expected to spend $19 billion on the post-Christmas sales this year, with Boxing Day alone accounting for $2.6 billion. Now that bumper spend will be welcomed by the retail sector, which has been struggling with weakening sales growth in recent years. But experts warn a debt hangover could be brewing as a result of fast-growing buy now, pay later options.
ASIC last year found that 55% of people spent more because of services such as Afterpay, and that 1 in 6 Australians that were using buy now, pay later services got into financial strife.
The modern digital version of lay-by has plenty of perks, free to use and no interest charged, but the late repayment fees could provide a sting following festive bargain hunting.
And that's where it can really bite and get people into trouble. Late fees can climb as high as 25% of the purchase price, and if you've got a lot of Afterpay purchases on the go at once, that can really add up.
Chris Kohler, 9 News.
Few events or people have dominated the headlines through 2019 as much as Donald Trump, Greta Thunberg or Brexit. Tonight we reflect on the events and the people that shaped the world this year. That special report coming up later in the bulletin. But next in 9 News, dazed, confused and lucky to be alive. See the train wrecks unfolding on our railways. How to keep your family safe this festive season. What happens next? A man with a machete picks the wrong shop to rob. And madness on a motorway, a man goes viral for a killer reason.
Cheetahs, tantrums and tears of joy. The sporting moments of the decade that made us stand up and cheer. A current affair next.
Harvey Norman half-yearly clearance. Super deals with a super 60 months interest-free. Do not miss out. Super deal. Ideal for apartment living. The Chinto 5-piece glass dining suite. Only $599. Harvey Norman half-yearly clearance. Super deals on now.
You get more for less at Fuel Express. Territory fuel that you can trust. It's safe and easy. Fill up with us. No need to wait when you gotta stop. When it comes to fuel, no compromises. You get the best at the fairest prices. You get more for less at Fuel Express.
After some major renovations, we are opening up a whole new bar, Keno Lounge and gaming room with 55 of the latest machines. With an 18-hole PGA golf course out the back, Palmerston is waiting for you. Why not have your next function with us? We have full catering options available. If you haven't been past in a while, come on down, have a swing and say hello. Palmerston Golf and Country Club. Now is the time.
Harvey Norman half-yearly clearance. Super deals with a super 60 months interest-free. Do not miss out. Get 25% off Beats by Dre headphones or get 25% off Nokia mobile phones. Harvey Norman half-yearly clearance. Super deals on now.
It's here. Mattress Studios' end-of-year sell-off is on now. It's the time of the year when we drastically reduce prices and clear our stock. Guaranteed low prices on top-brand Australian and imported mattresses. Don't miss it.
Gateway's mid-year sale is on now. There's massive savings centre-wide on big brands at all your favourite stores. Plus, with free easy parking, you can shop all day. Hurry, it's on now, so grab a bargain today at Gateway.
Roger Federer, the greatest player in history, but only just. Rafael Nadal is catching up. Just one Grand Slam separates them. This Australian Open could decide who is the greatest of all time.
A rivalry that we're going to be talking about for the ages.
A would-be thief couldn't even make it into this jewellery store after the London owner fly-kicked the door. Wedged in the doorway, the burglar still tries to make his way inside, but the shopkeeper doesn't give up. Lying on the ground, he desperately kicks at the door until the intruder retreats. A smiling assassin, this terrifying video going viral in the US with a Texan man filmed grinning as he fired a semi-automatic weapon out the window of a moving car. Somehow no one was injured, and after an appeal from police, the 26-year-old handed himself in. At least 14 people are dead, but dozens of passengers have reportedly survived the crash of a jetliner in the Central Asian country of Kazakhstan. The body of the aircraft cracked apart when it slammed into the ground, but the full fuel load didn't explode.
The plane had barely taken off when it came crashing down, hitting a concrete barrier and bouncing into a building. Anguished relatives of passengers were still in the terminal. Many witnessed the crash. The body of the jet, a 20-year-old Dutch-built Fokker, flown by Kazakhstan's main budget airline, broke apart. There were 100 people on board, including 5 crew. The death toll slowly growing, but amazingly, there were reports of survivors. The plane was heading from the fog-bound city of Almaty to the capital Nur Sultan when it lost power and fell from the sky. Ambulances and fire trucks raced to the wreckage, which luckily had not caught fire on impact. Emergency teams prized back slabs of the crumpled fuselage to access the cabin, lifting out bodies of the dead and the injured. The cause of the crash is not yet apparent. Early Walsh, 9 News.
'Tis the season to steal. Tonight, a new warning from authorities. Crooks are on the prowl for your Christmas presents. Thankfully, there are a number of ways we can protect ourselves from these greedy Grinches.
They think no one's watching or listening. This taken on Christmas Eve. The pair have jumpers on and they're using the sleeves to cover their hands. Their intentions are obvious, but before they move in, they double check it's empty by knocking at the door. The dogs bark, one of them bolts, leaving his mate to face their would-be victim alone. The Grinch that almost stole Christmas.
Our houses are now flushed with extra cash, gift cards, new items. They know that, the offenders know that.
This incident reported to police, but problem is there are others out there.
We really want to see people, say, put on a light, a TV, a radio, something like that to insinuate or make it look like someone is home.
Police say crooks are on the hunt this festive season, but they're not just targeting your homes, they're after your pride and joys as well. This car packed the night before a road trip. The next morning, the owner finds it like this, with several laptops missing. Locking up is obvious, but there's something else you can do to protect your gifts.
Bicycles, things like electronic products, they're always popular Christmas gifts, and the beauty of these things is they're all serial numbered.
Simply taking a snap of the serial number makes it harder for thieves to sell and increases the chances of getting your presents back. Alex Heinke, 9 News.
Leaning over, he suddenly takes a massive tumble backwards, trips and plunges onto the train tracks below. This incident in Victoria, just one of thousands involving intoxicated commuters on our nation's transport network over the past year. Authorities are urging commuters to take extra care over the festive period. Ahead in 9 News, a city swallowed by a huge cloud of dust. A little Puggles grand debut 6 months in the making. Trump, terror and teenage protesters. 2019 had it all. Tonight we look back at the year that was. And forget the New Year's Eve fireworks, the lotto draw that could end your year with a bang.
The family business saved by social media. This lavender farm was on the brink of collapse until Instagram helped save the day. A current affair next.
The Good Guys famous knockout sale is on now. This chip fridge $295, this Bosch dishwasher $595, $700 off this LG OLED TV, 10% off this DeLonghi coffee machine, plus loads more. Only at The Good Guys.
Crocosaurus Cove's Junior Reptile Ranger program is on every Wednesday, Thursday and Friday these school holidays. A 2-hour tour designed for kids aged 7 to 12, giving them a fun behind-the-scenes look at our awesome reptile family. Visit croccove.com for details.
Want it? Get it. Get the Husqvarna you want today from Mower World Darwin with up to 40 months interest-free. We've got Husqvarna ride-ons and zero-turn mowers from $3,249. Line trimmers starting at $219. New wet and dry vacs from $299. And a great range of battery-powered garden tools, sprayers, push mowers, blowers, hedges and more. Plus, don't forget we have a fully equipped workshop for repairs and servicing. Mower World Darwin, Stewart Highway, Berrima, next to Camping World.
Grab huge half-yearly deals at Joyce Main. Save big on computers with 20 and up to a huge 40% off selected laptops, desktops and all-in-one computers. That's right, up to 40% off. Hurry while stocks last.
Joyce Main, no worries.
No crime is committed in secret. Someone always knows something, and you can help to keep our community safe. So, if you know something, say something. Even if it's minor, your information may help solve a crime. Report anonymously to 1800 333 000 or online at crimestoppers.com.au. If you see or know something, please say something.
BTC Parts and Accessories. You'll be surprised at our massive range of stock. So much more for the boat, trailer and caravan at BTC Parts and Accessories. Open 7 days, corner of Stewart Highway and McKinnon Road, Pinelands.
Ludmilla Primary School is the perfect learning environment with plenty of room for kids to grow. With high-quality learning programs for early years and preschool right up to Year 6, allowing all students to achieve their best. After a $7 million upgrade, the school boasts brand new state-of-the-art facilities. With dedicated teachers and smaller class sizes, every student receives learning tailored to their needs.
Enroll now. Ludmilla Primary School. Together we can achieve anything.
Race in for 5 days of Boxing Day bargains at Camera House. Canon, Nikon, Sony Olympus cameras up to 15% off plus cashbacks. Trade-ins, demos and rentals to clear. Tripods and bags slashed. Snap it up or they'll be gone in a flash. Camera House, Darwin City Gateway Shopping Centre.
I just built a house, you know. She'd moved in with me, everything was going well. And on that instant, everything just went to
60 Minutes has the most twisted love story you'll ever see.
Police believe you are beating up your wife.
The evil woman who destroyed her lover's life.
What the evidence showed is it didn't happen.
Sunday.
They're the companions many of us feel like we can't live without, and now research shows owning a pet later in life could have major health benefits. But with few retirement villages or care facilities allowing animals, for many senior Australians it's simply not an option.
After losing her husband, Roma Moon found herself facing retirement alone until she met Lexi, the Jack Russell Cross Foxy.
She's company. Very, very important. When I come home, it doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes or 5 hours, she's overjoyed to see me. You have a connection, and it's a love connection.
And that puppy love also proves to have serious health benefits when it comes to ageing. Research from Sydney University shows within just 3 months of getting a pet, feelings of isolation significantly decreased, while loneliness increases the risk of cardiovascular disease, cancer and depression. And active pet owners have a lower risk of high blood pressure.
It gives them something to get up for every day and walk the dog and meet the neighbours, and it's just generally health benefits for everybody.
When Michael and Robin Mariner traded in their family home for a retirement village in Denham Court in Sydney's southwest, there was no question Kaiser would be moving in as well.
If we couldn't have her here, we wouldn't be here.
She adjusted pretty quickly.
She needs to be walked, and she loves her cuddles.
Despite the proven health benefits, only 1 in 5 retirement villages and nursing homes allows pets, forcing older Australians to make a tough choice if their beloved dog or cat can't join them in their new home.
It's a big change, so it helps when you've got your pet with you, because you've got your family still with you.
You just have to make sure that you are in a position where you can you know, you can look after that animal.
Beautiful baby. Hey, you're beautiful.
Annalise Bolt, 9 News.
Christmas may be over, but festivities are continuing for revellers who've descended on the Sunshine Coast for Woodford Folk Festival. A yearly pilgrimage for music and art lovers from across the country. 9 News was there to catch the action on day one.
A magnet for the weird and wonderful. Woodford day one drawing in quirky crowds.
It's a nice place to express yourself and be a bit playful.
Good vibes uninterrupted by the downpour.
It's fine. It's perfect. It's nice to get some rain. I think we need it.
Larger than life art pieces and new skills to learn. It's festival fun for the whole family.
The wagon makes it a lot easier, that's for sure.
6 days, 125,000 revellers and 1,500 shows to see. It's fair to say Woodford Folk Festival is jam-packed. That's why organisers have made sure there are spots for revellers to go to get away from it all.
Some cooling off in a new man-made lake.
And it just gives them a bit of respite in the heat of Queensland summer.
Others catching up for a cold one at a bar dedicated to a Woodford icon.
For the first year in 10 years, Bob and Blanche had visited the festival here. Blanche came last night. Blanche will be staying at the festival for the whole time.
You just looked at him and went, oh, there goes a legend.
It's good to actually keep his name alive.
Yeah, he's part of Australian history, folklore, isn't he?
Pacing themselves ahead of another 5 days of festivities. More than 400 artists will perform, but it's the opening and closing ceremonies that are poised to pull the biggest crowds.
The closing ceremony is certainly probably the larger, but when you've got some stellar performers in the amphitheatre backing up after the opening ceremony, we do get huge crowds up there.
Lily Greer, 9 News.
An incredible dust cloud has been captured devouring the Argentine city of Mendoza. Strong, dry mountain winds from the Andes created the storm, which slowly swallowed everything in its path. It's a place associated with hot and dry conditions, but a winter storm has seen heavy snowfall blanket the desert landscape at Joshua Tree National Park in California. The park's famous trees turned white, with campers warned to be well prepared or avoid the area. Higher parts of the park could see up to 60 centimetres of snow this week. A moment today that has been 6 months in the making, the first public appearance of a new short-beaked echidna at Taronga Zoo in Sydney. As most of you'll know, the youngsters are called puggles. This one was born back in June but has been kept hidden in the breeding area. It can now look forward to a long life eating ants, termites, grubs and worms. It's a man who likes eating worms, maybe? Paul Murphy joins us now. Murph, Travis Head delivers on day 2 of the Boxing Day test.
See, I've tried some unusual diets. I might skip that one, though. Yes, he was magnificent with the bat. Now it's up to our bowlers. Details next. Plus, Mitch Swepson reveals the pep talk that spurred his return to the test squad. Ahead, why an A-League loss to Newcastle will prove costly for the Roar. Liverpool remains on track to make Premier League history after a crushing win. And the race across Bass Strait heats up for line honours contenders.
Cheetahs, tantrums and tears of joy. The sporting moments of the decade that made us stand up and cheer. A current affair next.
In the season final of Bondi Vet, the vets race to save a heat-stricken pooch.
This is life-threatening for Murphy now.
Bondi Vet Coast to Coast, tonight on 9.
Regis Palmerston offers contemporary guest rooms accompanied by poolside relaxation and state-of-the-art conference facilities, specialising in corporate meetings, presentations and networking events through to weddings, Christmas parties and our amazing high teas. Our Asian fusion restaurant, Madame Zha, blends the freshest ingredients in a delicious contemporary menu. We look after our locals, territory rates, amazing dining, rooftop pool. Regis Palmerston, a great place to meet.
Business owners, the Biz Secure grant has changed. You may be eligible for up to $8,000 without any contribution of funds from you. Just ask Territory Technology Solutions. They use the latest in CCTV to help reduce your risk of break-in and theft. Their range of cameras include automatic number plate recognition, automatic face recognition, plus automatic target tracking, and remote access for viewing from any mobile device. The solution is just one phone call away. Territory Technology Solutions, Darwin and Alice Springs.
The MacArthur River Mine,
producing minerals for products we use every day, creating job opportunities, developing lifelong skills, remote regions, supporting community projects, investing in locals, nurturing future generations. How are they all connected? Through one natural resources company, Glencore. Discover how we're connecting possibilities every day.
Going on a trip! Really? We're going in the car?
At Subaru, it's time to sniff out our off-the-leash offers. Get 5 years roadside assistance and a generous $1,000 e-gift card across selected Subaru demonstrator models. But only while stocks last, so hurry to your local Subaru retailer today. Every moment is a chance to do, so take a test drive with Subaru.
It's the best! Wow.
It's a real Christmas at Craig's. Daiwa CT100H, $159. Team Daiwa sold, $299, save $200. Shimano SLX 150XT, $149. Craig's Christmas catalogue out now.
Get it at Craig's.
Mr. Barra, for all your fresh seafood needs, come and see Mr. Barra's huge range of fresh locally caught seafood, supplying fresh seafood for over 30 years. Support NT Court, open 7 days a week at Fisherman's Wharf.
Get the power. At Tyre Power, you get the power of lower prices on a big range of famous brand tyres. So, whatever car you drive, race in and get the power of Tyre Power. Tyre Power. Get the power of Australia's biggest independent.
This sports report brought to you by Harvey Norman, serving the Territory for 20 years. Shop online or in store.
A gritty century from Travis Head and a fiery spell from James Pattinson has ensured Australia is right on top in the second test at the MCG. Head put on 150 with skipper Tim Payne as the home side reached 467. In reply, New Zealand is already 2 down.
A grind on the opening day, Steve Smith settled in for more of the same.
Oh, that hits him.
Only this time, the Kiwis got their man.
Yes! At the gully, a one-hander in the gully, a short one.
Travis Head was riding his luck early on, but still past 50 as Tim Payne came out swinging.
Shot from Tim Payne.
And soon had a half-century of his own.
It's going to be the 7th Test match 50 for Tim Payne.
Both batsmen added the more unconventional to their repertoire, at times effective, at times not so much.
On charge. That's a good way to answer the bouncer and the Wagner attack. Have a go and run at him.
Then, shortly after tea, Payne was trapped in front.
Outside the line, you would think.
While a New Zealand review ensured the skipper was sent packing for 79, there was no stopping Head's charge towards a ton.
That's through, indeed. It races away to the boundary. Test match century number 2 for Travis Head.
The shackles suddenly off. Chasing those quick runs, Head's knock came to an end on 114. Australia's bowlers soon unleashed.
Edged and taken by Payne.
It wasn't long before James Pattinson was handed the ball, and he relished the moment.
And gone, got him. Kane Williamson's gone.
Not content, the Victorian thought he had another.
Taylor, trap, Pattinson loves it.
But Ross Taylor was saved by a review, ensuring he copped some gentle ribbing from the Australian captain before stumps.
It's twice I've seen him dead out plumb and not given. Did you see Brody hit him in the pad in New Zealand? He's absolutely hitting middle stump and had missing leg. He knows the bloke in the truck.
Ayrton Woolley, 9 News.
Some wise words from Shane Warne have convinced Queensland spinner Mitch Swepson that he has what it takes to play Test level. The Bulls leggy joined the Aussie squad in Melbourne today with the hope of making his debut in next week's Test at the SCG.
A call up to the Aussie Test team, a late Christmas present definitely worth waiting for.
A little bit surprised, but just excited, just really excited. I've worked hard this year on my bowling, and it's great to see that the selectors have been watching as well.
What they've seen has been a haul of 12 wickets for Queensland in the Sheffield Shield this season that included a hat-trick. The impressive run of form coming after some wise words from Australia's greatest ever leg spinner.
Mainly said that I was a bit rushed rushed in my bowling, so I worked on sort of slowing things down a little bit, not trying to get as flustered, and he was also really good with a few mental cues and just a few things that help if things aren't going too well, just to go back to the stuff that works for you.
Swepson will spend the next few days practising his red ball bowling in Melbourne with the hope of making his Test debut at the SCG next week.
I've only played one game there with a red ball, and that was literally 2 weeks ago. It's obviously an amazing ground, a lot of history there, and yeah, I can't wait to get there.
Swepson's departure means the Heat need to find a replacement spinner for their next Big Bash clash, which is against the struggling Scorchers.
Well, that's in the air. That should be taken, and it is.
A 48-run thumping from the Sydney Sixers overnight sees Perth travel to Queensland, having won only once from 4 games this season. Adam Jackson, 9 News.
After a 2-week A-League absence, the Raw return to the field tomorrow, knowing a loss to the Newcastle Jets will see them tumble down to last place on the ladder.
I never come over here thinking anything was going to be easy. I've never gone into anything in my life thinking it was going to be easy. I know that to get to where you need to be, you need to work hard. I'm no different.
The Newcastle match kicks off a busy schedule for the Raw, who play 2 games in 5 days. Liverpool has taken another step towards a drought-breaking Premier League title, thrashing their closest rivals Leicester City 4-0. The Boxing Day beating extends the Reds' gap on top of the table to 13 points. Chelsea is looking shaky in 4th. The Blues are upset 2-0 by Southampton, while Manchester United and Tottenham both had wins. By Sydney to Hobart standards, this year's race has been tame so far, but that could all change tonight. Winds are currently building as Comanche holds a narrow lead from a host of other supermaxis.
The crew of Blackjack out for what appears to be a leisurely summer sail. In reality, they're in a battle of wills in one of the tightest Sydney to Hobart races in recent memory.
It's a bit of cat and mouse at the moment, and the strategy that's going on between the navigators is just incredible.
Weak southerly winds made it smooth but slow going for the fleet overnight and this morning.
A few boats, including Wild Oats, we got pretty badly parked up, and we lost about 20-25 miles on where we expected to be.
The Supermaxis can almost eyeball each other. Infotrack, Comanche and Scallywag all taking turns in the lead.
We're much more tricky with the transitions and the changing fronts, but yeah, it's very pleasant. Can't complain.
The owner of Scallywag may live to regret his words. A northeasterly change is blowing in and will strengthen tonight.
How strong it's going to be, they're predicting up to 30 knots, which makes for some pretty exhilarating riding at night, but also it could be a little bit damaging to the boats.
We're just getting the boys fully rested now and making sure that we're ready to go tonight.
Hulking 2017 champion Comanche has tactically taken a wider line than the rest of the fleet, but is starting to come into her own as Tasmania approaches.
If it is heavy winds, it tends to favour the heavier boats, the wider boats.
Luke Duffy, 9 News.
He clocked up more than 320 goals in an 11-year AFL career, but since being delisted, Jeffrey Garlett hasn't hung up the boots, the small forward bringing his talents to the top end.
He was a dominant force in the forward line for the Blues.
Kicks towards a vacant goal square. How will it bounce?
And carried that fire for 6 years with the D's, but a niggling injury sidelined the small forward in June.
When I was training at the Demons, shot popped out again, so it was twice in a row, so I had a ladder J put in and sat out for the rest of the year.
While he's fully recovered now, Melbourne has delisted Garlett for the 2020 AFL season, but he hasn't put footy on hold just yet, instead jumping at the chance to get a taste for the NTFL in Darwin.
I was happy to make my way up here. Obviously I've got family here as well, and Mum and Dad live in Broome, so it makes it easier for me to go across for Christmas. So as soon as the opportunity came, put my hand up.
He's found a familiar spot in the forward line for Southern Districts, and the club is more than happy to have Garlett bolster its lineup.
Everyone sees him, gets around him, especially some of the senior blokes. They're like an awestruck, sitting there and thinking, is this bloke really playing with us?
They've been awesome. They've been very welcoming. Hopefully I'm open arms to them. I've said if anyone needs anything, needs help with football, anything that I can help them with, I'm happy to help.
And he hasn't set a timeline on the territory.
I'll be up here playing footy for as long as I can.
Southern Districts take on the Darwin Buffaloes next Saturday when the league returns from the Christmas break for round 12. Ellie Conway, 9 News.
Darwin Brothers head coach Leon Cleal will be returning to the club for the 2020 NRL NT season. Cleal admits he'll continue to focus on developing the Brethren's young talent after giving 8 under-18 players a call up to A grade last season. Brothers are expected to begin training from February and are aiming to improve on this year's campaign where they finished 4th on the ladder. The new league season kicks off in May. There we go, that is a wrap of sport for tonight. We'll get a check of your weather with Nicole next.
The family business saved by social media. This lavender farm was on the brink of collapse until Instagram helped save the day. A current affair next.
Our Aussie superstars battle the world's greatest for the love of country. The ATP Cup starts next Friday on 9.
Harvey Norman half-yearly clearance super deals with a super 60 months interest-free. Do not miss out. Run-out price. Westinghouse 600ml multifunction pyrolytic oven, now only $898. Harvey Norman half-yearly clearance super deals on now.
Anaconda's massive 20 to 50% off store-wide sale is on now. Huge savings on camping gear, bikes, kayaks, fishing gear, clothing, footwear and more. Some exclusions apply. 20 to 50% off sale on now at Anaconda.
Oh, yeah! Gee, she got a good leg on her, eh? What a show-off.
Did you see my goal?
Hey.
I thought I played it at the game.
What? You should be ashamed of yourself, showing off and asking for all that attention. You're not going anywhere but home.
Now everybody's blaming me for what happened. Like I'm responsible for him treating me like crap.
You can do something to change the ending.
One moment, Auntie. Hey, sis. I've got Auntie Shirley on the phone. She's going to help us work this out together. She's talking to his uncle too. It's going to be all right, because we're all here for you. Yeah, we'll sort it out.
Hey.
Do something to change the ending. You can change how it plays out. It's everyone's responsibility to prevent violence.
Let me look into 2020. No, not good at all. You will lose your optical health fund entitlement.
You don't mean...
Yes, I do mean.
Oh, wait. Sorry, I'm not wearing my optical superstore glasses. Oh, I am so sorry. I read that completely wrong.
There is still time.
Amazing no-gap offers with single vision and multifocal glasses. See into 2020 with the Optical Superstore.
Harvey Norman half-yearly clearance super deals with a super 60 months interest-free. Do not miss out. Amazing offer. The Australian-made Allendale 3.5-seater fabric sofa with reversible chaise, only $1199. Harvey Norman half-yearly clearance super deals on now.
Gateway's mid-year sale is on now. There's massive savings centre-wide on big brands at all your favourite stores. Plus, with free easy parking, you can shop all day. Hurry, it's on now, so grab a bargain today at Gateway. This weather update brought to you by Fridgeleg, your Dakin air conditioning specialists.
Good evening. It was the hottest night ever recorded in Darwin, with a minimum of 30.2 degrees at the airport this morning. Now, storm warnings have been issued for much of the top end today, and after a hot and muggy one, the temperature reached 34 degrees in the city. Now, that record-breaking minimum temperature occurred at 4:05 this morning, so it was a very hot night before that. Right now, it's 31 degrees in Darwin. Let's check out the chart now. A trough will move north over the top end through the weekend, leading to an increase in showers and storms, as well as thankfully finally easing heatwave conditions. Meanwhile, a ridge over the Queensland coast will strengthen over the weekend, pushing humidity into central Australia and combining with a trough moving in from Western Australia. It'll increase the chance of showers and storms through the Territory's interior. Let's check out our capitals now. If you're heading into state for the weekend, top of 29 with possible early showers in Brisbane, 29 in Sydney, too sunny there, 38 the top in Adelaide, and over in Perth, sunny, top of 28 degrees. Let's head back to the top end now. We're expecting showers and storms to be widespread tomorrow, and we're already seeing those temperatures starting to drop. 34 the top in Nhulunbuy. Katherine still warm, but top of 39, so back out of the 40s. 36 in Palmerston and Howard Springs. Let's head further south now. Tennant Creek seeing a bit of cloud cover moving in as a bit more humidity enters the air. 41 the top in Alice Springs and 45 in Yalara. If you're planning on heading offshore this weekend, make sure you head out early tomorrow to beat that wet weather. 20-knot winds from the northwest, seas to 1.5 metres. Our catch of the day comes in from Matty, who pulled up this 70-centimetre golden snapper whilst fishing with his dad off Dundee recently. Great work, Matty. Enjoy your prize pack. Let's head back on shore now. A high chance of showers from late morning in Palmerston tomorrow. Storm activity on the way as well. Top of 36 degrees. 36 in the rural area too, with showers and storms from late morning. For Darwin tomorrow, still lighter falls on the way. We could see up to 10 millimetres though from late morning, with gusty storm activity as well. A cooler night on the way, 27 degrees, and we'll continue to see minimums drop on Sunday and Monday.
Thanks, Nicole. Well, a new Mayan palace has been discovered in an archaeology zone in the southeast of Mexico. Experts say construction materials found within the surrounding pre-Hispanic Mayan city indicate the palace was occupied as early as 600 AD. It's your last chance to end the decade on a high and potentially $30 million richer. Tomorrow night's mega draw will be the biggest Saturday lotto draw of the year, with up to 1 in 3 Australians expected to grab a ticket. The last mega cash grab for the year comes after a Sydney man won $20 million in Oz Lotto's Christmas Eve draw. An impeached president setting the world alight with tweets, a teenage girl taking a stand on climate change, and a prime minister whose leadership was the envy of all. They were just some of the newsmakers who wrote history in 2019. And tonight, Brett McLeod looks at the moments that have shaped our world.
In an era of constant change, 2019 stood out as the year of extreme uncertainty, where old orders were swept aside and at times historical foundations seemed on the brink of collapse. Even world leaders were left wondering what just happened. There was celebration of some arrivals and relief at some departures. And throughout the year, the news feed about and from one man was constant.
The 45th President of the United States, and your favourite president, I think.
Donald Trump continued his role as disruptor-in-chief, doing what no sitting US president had done before, stepping across the border into North Korea to shake hands with dictator Kim Jong-un. Trump hailed it a success.
Just the meeting is historic.
Yet there was little tangible result. The Hermit Kingdom continues its missile testing. John Bolton became Trump's third national security advisor to be ousted or quit. More controversially, the president announced the sudden withdrawal of US forces in northern Syria, widely condemned as a betrayal of Kurdish allies who'd led the military defeat of ISIS. One name dominated much of Donald Trump's year: Robert Mueller. The former FBI chief led the probe into Russian interference in the 2016 US election. He found while Russia tried to help Trump win, there wasn't evidence of a conspiracy with the campaign. But on obstruction of justice by Trump and his staff, he was inconclusive. The president said Robert Mueller totally exonerated him.
And what about total exoneration? Did you actually totally exonerate the president?
No.
And thanks to a whistleblower, we learned that hours after Mueller's testimony, Donald Trump rang the president of Ukraine, a call that would lead to him becoming the fourth US president in history to face impeachment for trying to withhold military aid unless the fragile nation started an inquiry into Joe Biden's son.
What's going on now is the single greatest scam in the history of American politics.
In Britain, 3 years after the Brexit vote, the deadlock continued to take its toll.
Order!
After successive agreements with the European Union were thrown out by the British Parliament, Theresa May finally bowed to the inevitable and stepped down as Prime Minister.
To have had the opportunity to serve the country I love.
And step in Boris Johnson, a man often considered Britain's answer to Donald Trump, albeit with an Oxford education. Johnson vowed he would get Brexit done. and soon ran into the same street protests and Westminster intransigence that thwarted his predecessor.
Another pointless delay to Brexit.
An election was the only answer. Johnson widely rated as untrustworthy in opinion polls versus his Labor opponent Jeremy Corbyn, the most unpopular opposition leader in polling history. Across the world, climate change led to mass protests as the Amazon forests, known as the Earth's lungs, burned. A sole teenage protester from Sweden became the figurehead for the environmental movement.
You all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
People power was no more potent than in Hong Kong. Yet the darkest recesses of the online world were exposed in the most sickening of ways. A gunman opened fire at mosques in New Zealand, streamed live on Facebook as he murdered 51 people.
This is one of New Zealand's darkest days.
But more dark clouds loomed. The disaster on White Island would unite our two nations in grief. Heading into the new year, one of the biggest international events will be the US presidential election, the first ever where the incumbent is under the shadow of impeachment. The outcome is unpredictable. Hindsight, like the year, will be 2020. Brett McLeod, 9 News.
And that's 9 News for this Friday. Thanks for joining us from all the team. Have a good night.